these. And every passage you can give, no matter how clear it is, no matter how clear the passage is, from the Quran or from the Hadith, they just reject it. No, the Quran can't teach that.
We have passages from the Hadith and passages from the Quran concerning apostasy.
Yes, and actually it's interesting because it's very recent. It's within the last century and a half that Muslims started saying Islam doesn't teach that you should be killed for apostasy. And let me read you a quotation. This is from this is not from a Westerner. This is from Abu al-Maududi, one of the greatest Islamic scholars of the 20th century, who studied the history of apostasy throughout Islamic history. Here's what he said: "To everyone acquainted with Islamic law, not to a couple of people, to everyone who really knows the history of Islam, to everyone acquainted with Islamic law, it is no secret that according to Islam, the punishment for a Muslim who turns to kufr, or unbelief, is execution. Doubt about this matter first arose among Muslims during the final portion of the 19th century as a result of speculation. Otherwise, for the full 12 centuries prior to that time, the total Muslim community remained unanimous about it." Now, this is not Osama bin Laden saying this. This is a prominent 20th century Muslim scholar who wrote probably the greatest commentary written on the Quran during the 20th century. One of his books that gets handed out, Towards Understanding Islam, is one of the most popular books to teach about Islam here in America. I've been handed multiple copies of Towards Understanding Islam going to Muslim events. So this is not some wacko here. This is a Muslim scholar, and he says, to everyone acquainted with Islam, you know, of course we know that Islam calls for the death penalty, and until the 19th century, so for more than 1,000 years of Islam, the total Muslim community was unanimous that the penalty for apostasy is death. It's only in the 19th century that Muslims started having doubts about that. Where did Muslims start getting those doubts? Muslims started getting doubts about the penalty for apostasy from Western influence. They start hearing about these democratic countries who praise freedom of religion and won't kill you for leaving your religion, and this starts influencing the thinking of many Muslims. So, according to Islamic law, and we can go into this more during the program if we want to talk about what the Quran says and what the Hadith declare.
I was going to ask you if there is any Quranic references to this.
Yes, well, I'll read one. You see, the problem I have with the Quran is almost always unclear. The Quran is almost always ambiguous. It can usually be interpreted.
But if we just read it from the Quran first, then we go to the scholars, and then here it is.
Yes. So let me read one passage that I think is probably the clearest, but as far as the Quran, most things in the Quran, you can interpret it in multiple different ways. You look at commentaries, you see it's interpreted by the commentators in many ways. But let's go with a passage. This is Surah 4:89. Surah 4:89. "They desire that you should disbelieve as they have disbelieved, so that you might be all alike. Therefore, take not from among them friends until they fly their homes in Allah's way." So some people are pretending to, be friends with the Muslims or be Muslims. It says, don't take from among them friends until they fly their homes in Allah's way. So until they actually leave their homes and go out and join the Muslim community, don't trust them. But if they turn back, then seize them and kill them wherever you find them. Here, the Quran refers to people leaving their homes to join the Muslim community. So these people are they're dead set on following Islam. They're leaving their homes. They're leaving their families. They're following Islam. And it goes on to say, but if they turn back, meaning if they go back to what they believed before, if they then go back to their own community and leave the Muslim community, if they turn back, seize them and kill them wherever you find them. Now, I'd say that's pretty clear. People are leaving Islam. They're joining the Muslim community. And then they're leaving Islam, going back to their homes, and it says, seize them and kill them wherever you find them. That, again, seems clear to me. During the course of this program, we will go into the Hadith, because if you want clear commands, if you want clear teachings, you generally have to go to the Hadith. The Quran totally contradicts itself in so many ways. You find one passage that says one thing, you find another passage that says something else. What you do in situations where the Quran is totally unclear, as it so often is, you go to the Hadith, and there you find very clear statements about how Muslims are to live. And it's in the Hadith that we find very clear, very precise statements about killing people who leave Islam. But we're about to go to a break.
All right. We're
about to go to a break, then we'll come back. We'll play all of Nagin's testimony. It's a little over a half an hour, but pay attention. Pay attention. You can call in and ask questions about it. And later on in the show, we'll actually go into some of the teachings of the Hadith, so we can see why people who leave Islam tend not to be extremely vocal about doing so.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we said, we are going to stop here for a few seconds, and we will be back. And after the testimony, we will open the phone lines for you to comments, if you have any thoughts, if you have any comments of what we're saying, if you have any questions of what you're saying. But stay with us, we will be back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. As we said in the beginning, our topic tonight for Jesus or Muhammad, the new edition, is apostasy, leaving the religion of Islam, and what's the consequences. And we have a testimony with us tonight, and we're going to view it together, but I'm going to turn it back to David to tell us about the testimony for a little bit.
All right, well, we're going to be watching the testimony of a girl, 17, well, she's 18 now. She was 17 years old at the time. If you've watched this show regularly, you probably remember a young girl calling in a few months ago. She was calling in as a Muslim who had converted to Christianity, and then due to persecution in her family, started practicing Islam again. But she was calling in the program while still a Muslim. And if you, as you listen to this testimony, I hope you see what I see, namely that Negin has something that lots of young people just don't have, and that, namely, that's a concern to know the truth and to study and to examine the truth, to test what we believe, to make sure that it's the truth. Now, I was an atheist for years of my life, and it happened to me around 19 years old, where I decided to seriously start investigating things. And when I was 20, I converted to Christianity based on a careful examination of the evidence. But it's so rare to see people who are in their teens or 19 or 20 or in their early 20s. Really, it's rare to see people of any age who say, I want to be sure about what I believe, and I'm going to investigate the evidence to see where the evidence points, so that if what I've been raised to believe is wrong, I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to believe something just because my parents believed it. I'm not going to believe something just because I was taught it. I'm going to believe something based on whether or not it's true, and that is very, very rare. People tend to believe whatever they're told to believe, and to cling to that no matter what the evidence says. And how often have we seen this on this very program, where we give a ton of evidence against something that Muslims believe, and Muslims just call in and say,